All right. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Alex, and yeah, as I was introduced, I'm the CTO and co-founder of Zerion, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the open platform that we are trying to build. So first of all, what is Xerion and like how we started? Pretty much this is the place, this is the app where your Web3 journey begins. A few years ago, we actually started as a more sophisticated portfolio tracker because we saw there's lots of pain to actually keep track of all the assets that will like appear in, like all the new protocols, all the new chains. So we just like wanted to be that single place where you can just like open the app and see all your balances across all the protocols, across all the chains, and like without the worry. And then we started iterating on that, and eventually we added some interactions. We built like some of our smart contracts, and we did lots of other things. But still, we believe that's like the best place where you can just see the actual total value of all your wallets. So yeah, as I said, like as of now, we invested lots of resources into building that. So we have more than 100,000 supported tokens, more than like hundreds of integrated protocols, and 10 chains integrated. And we started as like DeFi tracker app, but then we realized that NFTs are going to be huge things, so we integrated that as well. So we have pretty sleek widgets where you can like show off your NFT collections and also keep track of the collections of your friends, because you can add like any wallets that you want and just like stock them if that's something that interests you. And yeah, just like some stats on the product before I dive into the open platform is that we did more than $1 billion in transaction volume over last year. We have approximately 200,000 active wallets using our app only, and that's not talking about like lots of other integrations, like our developer partners that I'm going to talk about a little later. And we have like a pretty decent community of people who are like super supportive and like trying to support us in everything. So, talking about the open platform and what exactly is that and like why we needed that. And despite all the claims that like, you know, probably you all saw these tweets about like money legal, how like all the DeFi protocols reuse each other and like how easy it is to use all of that, it's not exactly the truth. Like all of them are using different interfaces, like they all implement their own standards. So there's like really hard to integrate different protocols if you want to do something with them. So you probably know about ERC20 standard for tokens that was like created like 2015 probably or something like that. No, maybe 16. And that is like somewhat unified, and that like why all the apps can easily track all the tokens, but like with more kind of DeFi protocols, it's not the case at all. All of them have different interfaces, and it's like really hard for developers who want to build something on top of that to actually build that, because they need to spend like hours and hours just like trying to figure out how that specific protocol works. And like because of that, the space is pretty sparse. So we decided that like whatever we built internally, because it was needed for our own product, we wanted to share it with everyone, and that's why we decided to build open APIs that allow all dApp developers, or like any kind of developers, to just use the data that we already have in-house to understand everything about the DeFi market, about NFT market, etc. And we have different tools for that. So one, as I mentioned, just the simple Web2 kind of regular API, which you can use either over WebSockets if you need some real-time data, or we're also building like the REST APIs for like simpler use. And that's just like kind of very simple integration. It just gives you the whole exposure and understanding of what's going on DeFi and like NFT markets. And then we also have Zerion SDK, which is actually a bunch of smart contracts that we built. So this is like completely decentralized thing, like no backends involved. And that's pretty much a proxy layer that tries to unify interactions with different protocols. So you can think of like they're like MakerDAO, Compound, Xerion, and a million other protocols that pretty much serve the same purpose. You can just deposit some money into that protocol and get some yield, but all of them implement different protocols. So it's very hard if you want to use more than one of them, and kind of that middle layer, the DeFi SDK proxy that we built, pretty much allows you to interact with all these different kind of protocols using the same unified interface. And we also have the transactions API, which is also the combination of both like Web2 and Web3 approaches. And pretty much that API just like allows you to find the best exchange rate for any trade that you want to make. And we use different integrations under the hood that I'm going to talk about a little later. Yeah, so first of all, the Zerion API, the docs are available at docs.zerion.io. and pretty much anything that is supported in the app is available through API. So if you want to build the next Zerion, or like if you're building a mobile wallet, or if you build any sort of application and you just like want to show a little bit more comprehensive data to your users outside of like that specific protocol that you're working on, it might be useful for you. And I guess like one of the unique features that I would like to highlight here, we actually have the human readable history of transactions for the users, and that's kind of unique for the market, because if you think of regular wallets like MetaMask or anything, they never really know what you've done before, or like they show you like some smart contract, super techy transactions which are not very clear what exactly happened there. We trying to make it more human, I guess. And yeah, just like as a case study, maybe some of you heard of the product Prism. They built a pretty great product where they have real-time portfolio and performance rankings. They have the follow wallet functionality. So there are like whole ideas that like you can follow different investors to see how they are doing and all of that. And that was built using like our APIs under the hood. So you might want to check their product out as well. And last year, we actually saw a pretty crazy interest for our APIs. The most active integrations include the Prism, the StakeDAO, the Rainbow Wallet, and many others who just like use our data for different things that they want to show in their products. And the DeFi SDK, as I said, is like a set of smart contracts that unifies the integrations with different protocols on chain. So to use our DeFi SDK, we have a bunch of libraries on GitHub for different languages. I believe we have the Python and JavaScript implementations to work with that, but that's completely Web3 kind of style integration, so like no need to rely on any centralized solutions, but still it might simplify a lot the interactions with different protocols over there. And the next thing is the transactions.zerion.io. And that's a pretty comprehensive system that we built that pretty much serves one purpose, to just like find the best rate, find the best quote. Like if you want to trade whatever tokens into Ethereum, if you want to, I don't know, like buy some very rare low cap token that is not available anywhere, you can just query our system and then we're gonna search in different places. We have some private market makers. We integrate like all the major like on-chain protocols like 1inch, Uniswap, like Paraswap that I mentioned here, but there's a lot more. And yeah, pretty much the response is just like what's the most optimal route to actually execute your trade that you can do just like by submitting the transaction on chain. And the last thing is Zerion extensions, and that is something that allows us to kind of create a system where not only we in-house integrate different protocols, but also we allow external products who have their own protocols to come to us and integrate them into our product, which is, in the end of the day, is pretty beneficial for everyone, because the more protocols are integrated, the more data we have, the better it is for the users, and of course, it's also pretty beneficial for the product because they get the exposure of all the users that use Zerion, as well as all the other integration partners that we have. So just like come to us and just like try to integrate you so that like the balances are displayed in the app. And yeah, here's the QR code. And I guess there, yeah, I'm just kind of used that the screen will be right behind me. But anyway, you can scan the QR code, and if you are interested in any of the offerings, if you are the protocol who want to be displayed in Zerion and all our integrations, or maybe you're a developer who's building like their own app and just like want to use our APIs and learn more, or whatever other queries you might have to us, just like feel free to scan and fill out the simple form, leave the email there, and we'll reach out to you and see how we can be useful for each other. Yeah, and I guess this is the end of my presentation. I tried to keep it pretty short, but if any of you have any questions, feel free to ask them right now. And I guess some of you might score this sleek cap for asking good questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
Hello. Yes, I'm not sure if you have this already, but do you have any plans to integrate with centralized exchanges to show your portfolios on Xerion?
That's a good question. Like, it's been on our like backlog for a while, But I don't think it's a top priority, to be honest. We are trying to focus on more like open systems. So like we're integrating with most of the protocols that are like truly decentralized, that we can tap in without like, asking anyone. And so that like our users can also actually interact with them, because like, it's pretty hard to, like, I guess to query like read-only data from centralized exchanges is something doable, but we are trying to build things that are not only read-only, but also interactive, which is not really the thing. So I guess the answer is probably no.
Okay, one more quick question. Your architecture, is it modular? Do you also like plan to enable users to add integrations to it for stuff that your team can't necessarily get done in like?
Yeah, so that's pretty much the plan. That's what we call the open platform. So like the simplest integration that we support is that set of like smart contracts that I call DeFi SDK. So pretty much anyone, like any protocol can just like develop, and we call it like an adapter to that DeFi SDK, and then it becomes a part of a bigger solution, which pretty much allows different products and protocols just like to integrate in.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Yeah.
We are giving a hand. Hey, I met your team at ETH Berlin a few years ago, and so it's amazing to see the continued growth and product that you guys have been doing. So do you have a thesis that, from a UI perspective, users will eventually have maybe a Pareto distribution of the UIs that they use, and you guys want to be that dominant UI? Or is another thesis you might have of you actually would rather just be the API so anyone can build the UIs and you actually have that product as well? Just how are you thinking about the market like that?
To be honest, I feel like it's going to be both ways at the same time. And also, to be honest, like given the speed of development in Web3 and like the number of new assets and like chains and protocols, I feel like it will be impossible to create like the kind of Web3 Robin Hood kind of app that users will just go in there, because for a single party, it will be virtually impossible to keep track of all the opportunities available. So I think personally, like the future lies somewhere like in the kind of DApp browser approach, that like what historically we've seen, like where like you have like some tool that stores your private key, but then you browse on different websites, etc., where you can actually do the interactions. So I think that's going to be something along these lines. But I believe personally the best will be if those websites still try to integrate some data sources or like leverage the like kind of APIs that the wallet can provide, so that they can show more comprehensive data compared to what, like, because like right now the main problem is like you go to any like Web3 like dApp and they only know only about their protocol, only about their token. If they show you like the balance, they only show the balance of whatever token of the protocol, and that's like pretty confusing. So I think there will be some development in that regard.
Awesome, thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, it's like one over there.
Yeah, we got a few more.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the architecture of how you're like storing everyone's like token data, because I assume it'd be very hard to scrape, on a call, if I just like go input my address.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we actually have built like a pretty complex system, and it's like pretty much we have like regular like traditional databases where we store the data plus like the caching layer. And I guess under the hood we use the combination of two approaches. So first, like for some chains, like specifically for Ethereum, we are just like listening to all the new transactions that happen on chain and trying to analyze what exactly happened there. So like let's say if some address deposits money to like Compound, we actually update that in our internal system so that by the time the user comes to us, we already know that that user has that deposit into Compound. And some integrations work like that, and that of course like the fastest approach from the user perspective, because when they load the page, it's kind of already there, we know exactly what's going on there. But for other chains, we don't have that system built yet, and maybe ever. And the approach is just like to try to query different like protocols that we know of, just like to kind of on demand trying to understand. So we pretty much have like these kind of internal adapters that allow us to kind of parse the, like to know what exact call we need to make to a specific smart contract and how to understand that information. And we just like merge all the data and then just like show it in the interface. Just kind of combination of two approaches.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got time for one more. Everyone should know that. Oh, perfect.
Yep. Can you talk a little bit more about the NFT products that you're offering? I have the widget on my phone, but are you guys building your own API outside of OpenSea, and how are you referencing the data?
So yeah, right now, like we also have the APIs that allow external people to also understand a little bit of like information about NFTs. So yeah, if you've seen the widget, we also have the actually nice for Apple Watch app where you can actually display your NFT as a screen lock. But yeah, outside of that, we just like partially, to be honest, we also rely on OpenSea because they are like kind of that like big marketplace that knows everything. Partially, we just like trying to analyze data the same way how we analyze DeFi protocols by just like listening to all transactions. And anyways, like since we're trying to build that open platform, whatever we are making available for our own products, we also make available for developers who want to integrate. So pretty much anything that you can see in Xerion products is available like through certain APIs, so like any other products can also integrate that.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Alex. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right, thank you.